Right then, guys and girls, hello. And this is a little bit of a vloggy session today that I'm doing on the channel. Okay, so I've just returned home from work. I'm gonna have a cigarette in the car and then go in and get things sorted after food shopping. Is there a food shortage? Not really. Is there a driver shortage? Yes, there is. Is the haulage industry in chaos? No. Is the food industry in chaos? Yes. Right. Now, I'll tell you from my perspective, being an HGV technician, and I've worked in a few fleets, international haulage and container or food container haulage, which is the dry and wet liquid sugars, yeah. And there always is, and the business has been cutthroat for a long time. Okay, so operators are always vying for contracts. Contracts come up for renewal, and then the guy who does it the cheapest usually gets it. And I've been in a situation now, I've been made redundant 3 times because of contracts have changed. Okay, so I'm sort of used to this, and you get here through the grapevine that X company has undercut Y company by £2.5 million for doing a haulage contract or moving commodities for a business. Okay, so it's part and parcel of my life. Now, costs are always cut. Companies that drive, or should I say do logistics for supermarkets, they'll do it at a price, okay, and it's usually cheap as they can provide it for. Okay, maintenance has to be done, drivers have to be paid for, vehicles have to be paid for, and all the other costs incurred. Okay, so taking from this perspective that we had Brexit referendum 2016, didn't we? And it appears that the haulage companies haven't really made an effort to find or put into place or implement anything for bringing new drivers online. Then suddenly it seems like they haven't been organised. But some of these guys that run these haulage companies, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. If they know that they can make an opportunity out of a crisis, or as they say, you never let a crisis go to waste, do you? So you can see what's happened. Brexit has happened, COVID has happened, drivers are not allowed back in the country now. And in our minds, it seems a little bit crazy that you'd think that they have already known about this and they would have, you know, not been sitting on their hands waiting for it to happen. They would have done something about it, got HGV drivers ready for the jobs when Brexit happened, but they didn't, did they? And this is one over on the supermarkets and the food producers. Yeah, they're the ones who pay for the haulage, they're the ones who hire the companies, don't they? And this is only my opinion of it, but I reckon they've got them over a barrel. Yes, they've got them over a barrel. Obviously, they knew this was coming, didn't they? And yeah, you read certain articles in certain newspapers in the haulage industry, you have some of the big guys saying, yes, it is a crisis. And you've got people in the food industry saying, yes, it is a crisis. So what are they doing about it? Well, they're paying the drivers a lot more all of a sudden. Yeah, the prices obviously for haulage has gone up, okay, because it's a premium now, isn't it? Yet when things are in a short supply, you have to pay more for them, don't you? It's as simple as that, okay? So I'm not unduly panicked about what seems to be chaos, because people always benefit from chaos. And immediately in my trade, the people that I'm meeting, the drivers that I'm meeting, they have had pay rises in this region from £400 to £500 a week. Some have had 300, sorry, not a week, a month. Yeah, they've had top ups to their wages, which, okay, 4 to 5 grand a year extra. Okay, which is good for the drivers, isn't it? Of course. However, you'll have all the people who are connected to that industry will certainly start realising that when they're cutting their costs, which we've been doing for years to try and help and get contracts from hauliers, especially in my garage, they seem to cut their fingers off just to please the hauliers for some reason. You know, they bend over backwards and give things for free almost, and it's beggars belief when you're doing services and they're chucking a brake test, which really takes 3/4 of an hour of our time extra, then they give it away for free. But then it's volume work, isn't it? There's always logic behind it, even if they are just doing it at a cost and not making money on one thing, because they'll make money somewhere else, okay? So really, at the end of the day, it's not my business. I just do my job, yeah? But I look at these guys now on £16 to £18 an hour and think, well, I've got a driving licence, I've got this and that, I can do that, I can reverse trailers, I can do it better than you can. But, of course, you're in need. Are we in need? Fitters are, mechanics are, always are, especially in the HGV trade, because there is not enough of them. We are a scarcity, which means we can pick and choose almost what we do. Yeah, so when there's scarcity, the price goes up, doesn't it? Yeah. And I'm not too much afraid of it, because they're still selling new lorries. New lorries are being ordered, and there are no second-hand lorries on the market anywhere at the moment. Our yard usually has a whole row of them. They haven't got any because they can't get hold of them because they're in use. Okay, yeah. So we'll put this into perspective, is that some people are really benefiting from this, others are not. And at the end of the day, you know who's going to pay for this? The customer. The customer, which is us, the consumer, who's buying the food, yeah? I haven't seen price rises anything more drastic than usual, okay? Now, I've been monitoring this situation since I was unemployed in 2014. I actually had a little bit of time on the dole before I went back to being an HGV fitter, and I could see the prices rise, and they've been going up incrementally. There's no drastic increase, except for fuel recently, but it was about 130. It dropped down, it's gone back up again, hasn't it? Some things have dropped in price, especially vegetables, British vegetables in certain supermarkets. Yeah, I noticed that last week. Now, doesn't mean to say that they won't go up incredibly high in a matter of course. We don't know, because we have inflation in this country, don't we? They've printed a lot of money, so we've got to watch this space. But I find it very interesting at the moment. What's the next course of action when the nurses who were discussed at their pay rise, which was, what was it, 3%, something like that? Well, I think we got 1.2% in January, and then the drivers have got a hefty pay rise, and I've heard in some places they've got 40%. Some drivers or there's vacancies offered at £52,000, £53,000 a year for driving for Morrison's in Oxford. Yeah, it's beggars belief, to be honest with you, because that's already a super tax bracket, isn't it? The other thing which the government are now implementing, they're being lax on the driving test. Okay, so some guys would have done class 2, which is rigid, up to 18 tons, got the license, and then they'd have done their class 1, C plus E, yeah, and then had to do a CPC, had to do tests for reversing, that sort of thing. And they're knocking the class 2 on the head and fast tracking class 1 drivers, and not putting the reverse tests or reverse into the examination, which I don't know how true it is. I've got to admit, this is hearsay. I've got a friend of a friend who knows a friend, if you know what I mean, wink wink, you know. But it is, basically, it's on the grapevine. This is what's happening. I talked to my boss about it, because this is an opportunity to get cheaper HGVs, to get more people employed in our employment, actually, with HGV licenses, yeah. And they know about it. He said, yeah, he actually confirmed that. He knows about it. And I thought, right, okay, fair enough. A little bit of a Google search will prove that anyway. But reversing? No reverse test? Oh, Jesus. This is an opportunity in itself, isn't it? You know, let's make something of a crisis here. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make up an agency, reversing agency, so we'll be at every supermarket and every loading dock. All the drivers that turn up, we'll charge them £100 per reverse, yeah, and we'll have guys doing it, yeah, that are qualified to reverse vehicles into loading bays and do that for the drivers. And of course they'll have CPCs and all that sort of thing, yeah. It's a bit silly, but if that's what they're doing, then that must be a crisis measure that they're doing, yeah. Instead of opening the borders for immigrants to come back in to work, they're just letting them drift in on boats to Dover, or flying them in from Afghanistan, aren't they? Yeah, that's another issue, which, yeah, okay, that's humanitarian help, isn't it? But helping this country and having it how it was before, then no, obviously not. Yeah. So anyway, as you can see, I'm actually quite relaxed. I'm knackered now. I've done a full day, MOTs all week long, MOT preparations, every single one's passed. That was good. But it's one of those things. I just sort of chuckle when you can see when they're not letting a crisis goes to waste. Yeah, and this is one of these times, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you later.